Alright guys, so I've got an interesting one here. This is from WM Watch. It's got a really nice textured dial, but the question is that enough to make you want to buy one? Or are there some things with this that might put you off? Apart from that name obviously, because I know some people aren't keen on that. Well, there's only one way to find out. So let's get right into this. This is the review of the WM Watch WM207. So there's actually a few different dial variations with this one. We've got a silver white, sky blue which I've got, deep blue, and also a forest green. So as you probably guessed by those names, we've got a kind of bark effect on the dial, and it is quite nicely done. And depending on the lighting, it'll either be more or less visible. So hopefully you get a full idea of what that's like throughout the video, because I'll do some indoor shots, outdoor shots, and mix up the lighting a bit. But as I said, is there more to this watch than just that dial? Well, we'll get into that in a bit. Before we do, first of all let's go over the dimensions. So we've got a diameter of 36mm, thickness of 9.4, lug width unfortunately is 19, then when it comes to the lug to lug, that's coming in at 43.6, but we do actually have male end links on this, so the effective lug to lug is a bit longer than that, although they do curve down pretty quickly, kind of in line with the case, but it's more like I'd say about 48-49mm. Then when it comes to the weight on this supply bracelet, with all the links included, it's coming at 118 grams, and then size of my 7-inch wrist, it's coming at about 107. And when it comes to the pricing of this, it's currently about $64, so bear that in mind as we get into the rest of this. So we've got fairly basic clasper, unbranded, double pushers, but it is just pressed unfortunately. And then we've got a screw down sterile case back. Then when it comes to the bracelet itself, fairly basic, so brushed on top, polished on the sides. It's a fairly generic bracelet and clasp. It is just push pins as well. Now moving on to the head of the watch, you can see we've got fully brushed sides with that WM brand in there, and then the top of the lugs are brushed, and then the bezel is also polished too. So it will gather scratches and fingerprints a bit. There's a nice bit of curvature to that case though. But now let's get on to the best part of this watch, and that is the dial. So we've just got the printed logo, and then the text at the bottom saying quartz and 100-meter water resistance. The indices are applied, and they do actually catch the light and play with that quite nicely because they've got a nice high polish on them. We've got nice proportions on the hands, and they've actually got a little bit of lume in there, but they shouldn't really have bothered. It fades that quickly that I'm not even going to bother showing you. But I will show you the movement though, because it's not your standard quartz, it's a VH31. So just got a push-pull crown, so if we pop that out, second hand stops, you got hacking, and then obviously you can just change the time. And if you're not already aware, the VH31 is a sweeping quartz movement, so when we pop this back in, you'll see that second hand re-engages, and then it gets that nice smooth sweep, kind of mimicking an automatic. I do like these movements because, as I say, it kind of mimics an automatic with that smooth sweep, and you also obviously get the benefit of it being quartz, so grab and go, you don't have to wind it or anything. So that movement and also the dial are obviously the stars of the show with this one. And again, now you're getting it in different lighting, you can see the texture is more or less visible depending on how it catches that light. So I do think they've done a good job with that dial, and obviously that choice of movement too. But now it's time to check out that crystal and see whether we've got sapphire or not, or if they've skimped out and cut the budget there a bit and just put mineral on in order to get it down to that $64 price. So it's time to get out that trusty Diamond Selector 2. And yep, we have actually got sapphire crystal, so that is a nice touch at this kind of price. So as you probably figured out by now, overall, the head of the watch is actually pretty good. It's only really the bracelet that lets it down in my opinion, as well as that questionable decision with the lume. But we'll go over the pros and cons now, show you what it's like on wrist, and then you can make up your mind whether you want to pick one of these up or not. And here it is on my 7-inch wrist. So I do actually think it looks pretty good on wrist, and as I say, that dial is the star of the show with this. I do like the way it plays with the light, and you can see the texture either more or less depending on that light. But as I said earlier, I just don't think they should have gone with this bracelet. I personally think it would have been quite nice if they'd actually had matching leather straps depending on the dial colour. Plus you'd avoid the problem of this male end link, so if you've got a smaller wrist, this might not be great for you. For my 7-inch wrist it's fine, but if you've got a smaller wrist, you might have a bit of a problem with that. So again, just having a nice leather strap I think would work better. And then you'd also avoid having that pressed clasp as well, which again, isn't great. Although if you do want to keep the bracelet, you can swap those out pretty quickly and cheaply. So I'll leave a link down in the description for that, if you are going to pick up one of these and you want to keep it on the bracelet. But there are still some really good positives with this. As I say, the dial. Got the really nice applied indices which catch the light. Obviously we've got that VH31 sweeping quartz movement. And we've also got sapphire crystal as well. So I guess it comes down to whether you want this and you're going to put it on a strap as opposed to the bracelet, or if you can deal with the bracelet as it is, given the price. In a lot of ways, it's actually very similar to the Addiesdive AD2030. Same strengths and weaknesses. So if you do like this one, but you're not keen on the branding, perhaps you want to check that one out. So I'll leave a link to that up in the top, as well as obviously the link to this watch down in the description too, if you do want to pick this up. And if you want to check out the review of my favourite WM watch I've reviewed so far, I'll leave a link to that at the end. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.